There are some warnings that Ellen White wrote. Warnings that do not shout, do not threaten, do not frighten, yet they shake the soul when you understand them. There is one particular warning that caused Ellen White to stop, to reflect, to tremble, and to write with unusual intensity. It was the realization that not everyone who believes the truth, not everyone who attends church, not everyone who keeps the Sabbath, not everyone who defends the faith will receive the seal of God. She said that many, not a few, many who appear faithful will shockingly discover that they were unprepared. This thought made her freeze, because she saw that the greatest danger in the last days is not outside the church, but inside, among those who sincerely believe they are safe, among those who assume the seal of God automatically belongs to them because they are Adventist, because they know prophecy, because they do the right things. She saw that the final crisis will reveal the heart, and that many hearts look faithful on the outside, but are unprepared on the inside. Today, I want to talk to you about something heavy, something personal, something every Adventist must understand. We will look at 7 types of believers, 7 types Ellen White warns about, who may appear faithful, but unless they awaken, unless they surrender, unless they allow God to transform their hearts, they will not receive the seal of God, not because God rejects them, but because they refused the preparation heaven offered. Before we go deeper, take one quiet moment to like this video. It truly helps push this message to others who need to hear it. And if this speaks to your soul, share it. God may use you to awaken someone before it's too late. Now let's begin. But as we go through these 7 types, don't think about other people. Don't think about your elder, your church member, your pastor, your friend. Think about your heart. Ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you. This is not a message of fear. It is a message of mercy. God reveals these things so that we can wake up, realign our hearts, and stand among the sealed, not among the shaken. The first type of Adventist who will lose God's seal is the one Ellen White called the almost committed. These are believers who know the truth, defend the truth, and love the truth, yet they have never surrendered fully to Christ. Their religion is external. Their faith is something they admire, but not something they obey. They do not fight against the truth. They simply drift. They are like a boat not tied to the dock. They believe they are safe because they are near the truth, but proximity is not the same as possession. Ellen White said, "Almost Christians, yet not fully Christians, will be weighed in the balances and found wanting." She said these will be among the first to fall when the final shaking begins. These believers will lose the seal not because God rejects them, but because they never fully chose Him. They never fully surrendered that one habit, that one relationship, that one pride, that one sin. Truth remained in the mind but never reached the heart. And in the final crisis, when obedience becomes costly, they will discover that their faith had no roots. The second type is the Adventist who is busy, but spiritually empty. This one is deeply Adventist, deeply involved, deeply busy. They run ministries, preach sermons, attend committees, help the poor, lead out, organize events. They are admired, they are dependable. But their personal relationship with God is weak or non-existent. They serve the church, but they neglect their soul. They know the forms of religion, but not the power. Ellen White wrote that many who labour in God's work are not connected to the vine. They work for God, but they do not walk with God. And she said that when the crisis comes, these individuals will discover that activity does not equal spirituality. And without a deep personal connection to Christ, they cannot receive the seal. This made Ellen White tremble because she saw dedicated workers, faithful members, loyal servants, standing unprepared because they never cultivated intimacy with Jesus. The third type is the Adventist who loves prophecy, but avoids obedience. This believer can explain the image in Daniel 2, the beasts of Daniel 7, the sanctuary, the three angels' messages, the papacy, the Sunday law, the latter rain. They know the signs, the symbols, the timelines. They are excited about knowledge. But when it comes to forgiveness, patience, surrender, humility, victory over sin, holiness, they resist. They want information, but not transformation. Ellen White said that many who are sound in doctrine will fail because they never allowed the truth to sanctify the heart. She wrote that truth that is not lived will testify against us, and that in the last days, the greatest danger is thinking that intellectual knowledge replaces spiritual renewal. These believers will be shocked when they discover that knowing prophecy is not the same as being sealed, because the seal of God is placed on the forehead, not as a symbol of knowledge, but as a symbol of character. The fourth type is the Adventist, who is outwardly faithful, but inwardly divided. This is the believer who keeps the Sabbath, returns tithe, attends church, supports the message, avoids unclean foods, and appears very committed. But inside, they are torn. They live with unconfessed sin, compromise, hidden desires, divided loyalty. They want heaven, but also the world. They want holiness, but also certain pleasures. They want Jesus, but not his cross. Ellen White wrote that in the final crisis, the divided heart will not stand. She said that God cannot seal a character that is half surrendered and half rebellious. And she warned that many will cling to small sins, not realizing that these small sins reveal a larger loyalty issue. These believers look faithful, they look committed, but inside the heart is still wrestling with the world, and in the shaking, hidden loyalties will be exposed. The fifth type is the Adventist who delays preparation. This one says, I know the Sunday law is coming. I know the final crisis is near. I know I need to get serious, but not yet. They are waiting for a sign, a moment, a warning, something dramatic. They assume that when the crisis comes, they will suddenly become spiritual, suddenly become strong, suddenly become faithful. But Ellen White said that character is not formed in crisis. It is revealed. She wrote, Many will be found wanting because they waited for the time of trouble to prepare, but it will be too late. These believers lose the seal not because they reject God, but because they postpone surrender. They intend to be faithful, just not today, and tomorrow never comes. Ellen White said that procrastination is one of Satan's most successful weapons because it feels harmless, but it kills the soul silently. The sixth type is the Adventist who fears persecution more than they fear sin. This is the believer who is deeply Adventist, deeply prophetic, deeply aware of the final crisis. But their heart is gripped by anxiety. They are terrified of what is coming, terrified of the Sunday law, terrified of losing comfort, terrified of suffering, terrified of standing alone. And because of this fear, they compromise. They will choose safety over faithfulness. Ellen White said that fear will lead many to betray their principles, betray their brethren, and betray Christ. The seal of God can never be placed on a heart ruled by fear. It is placed only on those who trust God fully, even in crisis. This believer seems faithful, but their faith is fragile because it is rooted in fear rather than love. And finally, the seventh type, the Adventist who keeps the Sabbath, but not the spirit of the Sabbath. This one is surprising. This is the believer who is strict, conservative, loyal to the truth, very precise about doctrine, They keep the Sabbath externally, but their heart is unkind, unmerciful, harsh, critical, judgmental. They defend holiness, but lack love. Ellen White wrote that a loveless Sabbath keeper is no different from the Pharisees, and she warned that the seal of God is a seal of God's character. His mercy, His compassion, His kindness, His gentleness. Sabbath keeping without Christ-like love is not obedience, it is a burden. And she said the final test will reveal not just who keeps the Sabbath, but who reflects the spirit of the Sabbath, the Spirit of Christ. These 7 groups deeply troubled Ellen White because they were all Adventists, all believers, all churchgoers. Many were faithful by appearance, but unprepared in heart. But the purpose of this message is not to condemn. It is to awaken hope, because the seal of God is not given to the perfect. It is given to the surrendered. It is given to those who allow Jesus to transform the heart. It is given to those who daily say, "Lord, I cannot stand in the last days unless you hold me. I cannot be faithful unless you live in me." So today, if the Holy Spirit has spoken to you, if any of these 7 descriptions touched something in your soul, do not be discouraged. This is God calling you, God awakening you, God preparing you. The fact that you are still listening right now means God is not finished with you. He is drawing you closer, deeper, higher. The seal of God is not earned, it is received, and anyone who chooses surrender can receive it. Anyone who chooses obedience from the heart can receive it. Anyone who asks Jesus to change their character can receive it. Let this be your moment of decision, your moment of renewal, your moment of awakening. Say, "Lord, seal me. Whatever you must remove, remove it. Whatever you must change, change it. I want to be yours fully." If this message touched you, please like this video and share it with someone who needs spiritual awakening. And if you want more messages that prepare your heart for the final crisis, subscribe to this channel. God bless you. Stay faithful. And remember, the seal of God is given to those who surrender completely to Him.